All right, everyone. So now that we have got the footers dug out fully with the backhoe, both the ground down and the footers dug, we are just cleaning up the loose dirt that's in them. I've actually got this side. I started over here in this corner here, and I've cleaned up around there, and then Tyler started right around that location, and he's working on trying to clean up the rest of it. I'm probably going to knock a little bit out of that corner over there. It looks like it kind of slopes a little bit more than I would like it to, so I'm going to dig out a little bit there at the base. And just as we go around, we'll see if there's any high spots that we need to adjust. We've went around with both the transit and some paint, and that's where you see all these lines here. We also I had written on the wall roughly about how tall our block wall will have to be at different locations. So we got a line over here. Right here, I have a line drawn. From this location back that way, it would be about 5 feet. And from that line to this line here, it would be 6 feet. Also, from there back to the corner and all the way around to this location would need to be about 7. What that will do is that will allow the block wall, which is going to actually give the support against that that dirt there, that will put that block wall about a foot above ground level. So it'll be fully supported. From there up, we're just going to build with wood because it's cheaper. It won't be needed to have to be concrete anymore because it'll be above ground level. So we're going to use wood there. Also, it'll allow us to adjust where the floor joists are a lot easier than trying to make sure that block is dead on. And then you have to shim and fudge it anyway. I have had some that have gotten really close to where you can do it okay, but then it still varies spot to spot. So wood's much easier to adjust anyway, and the whole rest of the house is wood. So from here to right over here on this spot, I got a mark here. Of course you can't see, but that would be 6 foot. And then from there to about here, it would have to be 5 feet. And then from there to right here, it needs to be at least 4. And then from there to the corner, it would be 3. On the back wall, we don't need to do a block wall because even though this corner is above the, that dirt is above this location, what we're going to do is after we have it in and we figure out exactly where the wall is ending, we're going to end up grading all that out, cutting it out. We'll probably end up putting a little retaining wall over there to the side instead to stop that over that way. And then from the back, it'll be nice and open. Now, might end up changing that. Depends on what the homeowners decide. If they decide they want to leave that with more of a slope there, and then in that case, maybe we'll just bring some more block this way a little bit. But there's supposed to be a double door with a side light on either side of the door that's going back here. So that doesn't really leave much room for that to be able to happen. I really think the knee wall is going to be probably the best. The little retaining wall is going to be the best option, which can be done out of block or landscaper block, which is kind of, it's very decorative. If we get to that, you would see exactly what those look like. You've probably seen them in other videos for sure. They usually come in like a reddish, brownish color. And they also come in like the color of a concrete block, which is very grayish. So just depends. But the other lines that we have across here, the lower ones you see going horizontally instead of vertically, those are where the tops of the footers will be. This side over here, I think we're gonna be pretty good, but we may end up putting a little bit of a form up here if we need to. We'll double check that. But I think it's good where we're not gonna have to. But I'm gonna start chipping out this corner back here. Tyler, as you see, he's just about done. He's just got that one corner there and then across this front. And the only other spot I think we may have to knock down a hair is like from right about here to right about here is looks a little high, but it may be just loose dirt. We'll see. And out here where we are, it's actually very common for the ground to be solid clay or rock. So with that being the case, we don't have to go as deep as a lot of footers may need to be. So the depth of your footer and width of your footer is going to depend on how hard the ground is in your location. So where we're at, we have these footers are about 24 inches wide and they're 12 inches deep, which is plenty. It's actually a little overkill for this area. Usually about 18 inches, or in some cases, if we weren't doing the block wall with the basement, 12 inches by 12 inches would be plenty big enough. But with both the cinder block and the brick that we got to do, the 24 will be just that much better. So we're going to go ahead and do that on this. This one here, there's actually a few spots where it's definitely over 2 foot. When you're digging with a backhoe, you can only be so accurate anyway, just because the dirt around it may decide to just break off as you're doing it. The other thing that we will need to do out here that we have not done yet is, and we're probably going to bring it across right around here, because kind of right behind where that camera is, almost dead in line, probably back, at a straight angle from where y'all are at there at that camera, about another 6 feet. That is where the sewer line comes down and across. So we're going to have to get from the toilet over there, out, across, and over. So we'll just need to put that sleeve underneath this footer, and then we can connect up to it and take it to where the bathroom is located later. All right, so now that that's done and cleaned up, our next step is going to be to start laying the rebar in here. And what we'll need to do is we're going to need to make sure that we're good and square. When we do like the main ones down in here, it's not going to be as important, but we'll still adjust it slightly. But when we start doing the ones that are going to turn up inside the block, we're going to have to make sure that those are dead center of that block wall. So for that, we're going to have to come off the house, run new strings, get them dead on square, make sure they're perfectly right, and then we're going to have to run some plumb bobs down from those strings down into these footers. Over here, we could probably use a level. We could probably use a level up there, but a plumb bob will make it much easier to make sure that when you're trying to use that level, especially on the high point where it's so far down, that when you're trying to run that level, you don't accidentally knock that string off square slightly. For what we were doing before, it was perfectly fine using a level because we were just getting like a rough thing and we were oversizing it anyways. But when we start to put in that rebar, because it's going inside a cell in that block, the block itself is 8 inches by 16, and each cell that is inside there is only going to be roughly about 5 inches by 5 inches. So there's a much less margin for error on that.